Please be seated. Many years ago, my wife Nancy and I taught 6th grade Sunday school. We would routinely put, as Nancy said, churchy words on the blackboard. Words that came up like Sadducees and Pharisees. And then we'd give them brief definitions. Then we'd ask for ideas on how to remember them. One answer we will never forget was this brilliant way to remember a Sadducee. Where the student said, a Sadducee is one who is sad, you see. More about unhappy Sadducees a bit later. Job, one of the most ancient books of the Bible, is the source of today's first lesson. In this most interesting book, Job moves between his complaints and his questions. And then he moves on to his answers. Earlier in the book, Job asked the most gut-wrenching question. If a man dies, will he live again? If a man dies, will he live again? We just heard Job's graphic answer. After my skin has been destroyed, yet in my flesh I will see God. I myself will see him with my own eyes. I and not another. How my heart yearns within me. In our gospel, we meet a group of powerful Hebrew leaders called Sadducees, who do not believe in the resurrection. For them, life after death is a false and foolish belief. They do not trust Job or any of the writings of the prophets. They only trust the scriptures they believe were written by Moses. They call these writings the Torah. We know them as the first 5 books of the Bible. And as the Sadducees could find no reference to the dead being raised in these books, they were very unhappy with Jesus, who was teaching otherwise. A few days earlier, Jesus had thrown the money changers out of the temple. He will soon be arrested and tried for treason. In the meantime, Jesus remains in the temple courts, teaching those who will listen. Of course, Jesus attracted many large crowds to his teachings, and many of them accepted his good news about eternal life. So Jesus' teachings presented quite a problem to the Samaritans. They were determined to correct Jesus. But as they could not stop Jesus from teaching, they chose a way that they hoped would silence him. Their plan was to lay a trap that would trick Jesus into agreeing that resurrection was a false, even foolish heresy. I wonder what Jesus was thinking and feeling as he saw these powerful men climb the steps to the temple. Earlier that day, he had faced another group who also tried to trick him. This time it was in committing treason by pronouncing the payment of taxes to Rome. As we now know, Jesus' answer was, give unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God what was God's. Perhaps Jesus was thinking about the absence of any unique kind of joy in the lives of the Sadducees. Joy like the joy Job expressed in our first lesson when he said, my heart yearns for the day that I will see God face to face. There was no yearning in the hearts of the Sadducees. So as the Sadducees were the only ones authorized to teach, Jesus might also have been concerned about what they were teaching and what they were not teaching. He must have yearned to have their minds and hearts opened to his teachings. Wouldn't it be great to have the Sadducees as allies rather than adversaries? Jesus had to find a way to have the Sadducees teach God's answer to the question, if a man dies, will he live again? Jesus found the way. Rather than being trapped, he trapped the Sadducees by using their strong confidence in the Torah, those first 5 books. Jesus reminded the Sadducees that in the book of Exodus, God revealed eternal life to Moses from the burning bush. God told Moses, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Notice that God did not say, I was the God of Abraham, or I was the God of Isaac, or I was the God of Jacob. No, as said in our gospel today, God is not God of the dead, but of the living. For to God all are alive. So was Jesus successful in trapping the Sadducees? It appears so. Some of the Sadducees said to Jesus as they left the temple, well done, teacher. Of course, today we have contemporary Sadducees in our lives. You may have met some. They also deny that there's life after death. See, modern Sadducees generally like to believe only what can be proved. They want the mystery taken out of our faith. Oh, I understand them. For many years, I also was strongly wondering about eternal life. Years ago, I wished God's mystery would be more like the mysteries I encountered in my technical career. For example, as a metallurgist, I had faith that someday the mystery would be solved of why stainless steel sometimes misbehaves and rusts. But I had no hope of the same kind about my life in God eternally. You know, maybe like you, I like it that way now. Is it something I can wait for? As I see it, the critical issue really is being right with God. That's so important, I'll say it again. The critical issue is being right with God in this life, at this time. What I am suggesting, especially on this day that we honor our veterans, is that living the teaching of Jesus can make waiting much easier. We can grow in our faith. We can grow to live our lives with an increasing amount of hope, with even a certain amount of daring, even a taste of adventure, to live life with a higher level of confidence. A confidence in God's promise of life after death can give to this life great clarity. The trivia of our day-to-day life can lose some of its significance. The important things in life can take on deeper meaning. There's another dimension to one's personal joy of God's promise of eternal life. Just as God raised Jesus, I believe God raised Alida, my mother, and Axel, my father, and Edward, my brother, and his son. I believe God raised Vernon Jones, and Larry and Rose Posey, and Kim Thornhill, and Lou Trunk, and David Rowe, and Laura Martin, and Al Harvey, and many others. I know I've left many out. You have many names you will add. All of us can add more. So I suggest we reflect on them during the times of silence today. While we've been given little clarity about what heaven is all about, I see being alive with God is what heaven is all about. In heaven, you see, death is not permitted, does not happen. God does not allow it. I also think that too much discussion on the question of resurrection would lead us nowhere. It is, after all, a matter of faith. In the end, it is a mystery. We do not have to spend much time and energy arguing about it. It is much better to live our faith by facing our difficult issues and struggles as though we do not fear death. And so, when good things happen, we rejoice. And when bad things happen, we're disappointed, sometimes just devastated. I'm sure that those times it helps to remember that there is a new life that is coming. We have something wonderful waiting for us. May that thought give us peace, even joy, whatever circumstances we encounter today. Amen.